Guys, what is up? Greg here. Today I've got a haul of records. One of the larger hauls when you consider the price is right. The F word, yes, it is a free haul. Let me tell you the story about a free haul of records I came home with yesterday. I'm hanging out, checking out this record store, Ventura County record store. I've often said not great things about because it's always kind of a mess and they don't have great stuff. I'm getting ready to leave, and an 80-something-year-old gentleman walks in and says to the girl behind the counter, I got 4 or 5 boxes of records I'd like to donate to you guys. Is the owner here? She says no. He's like, well, I'm just going to bring them in if that's okay. And I think, this gentleman needs help. I'm going to go out to his car and help him. Yes, I'm helping, okay? Anyway, as you'd expect, it's a collection of stuff that pretty much every record store would not accept. They're certainly not going to pay for it. And most record stores would look at this collection of oldies stuff and say, look, sir, thank you, but send that to the Goodwill. From the record store owner's point of view, now he has, 200 pounds of stuff to get rid of that's worth nothing. I start chatting up the old gentleman out by his car. He opens up his hatchback and he's got 5 or 6 boxes. Some are books, some are CDs, some are records. I said, yeah, I collect records. I'm into jazz. He says, oh, there's jazz in here. Well, I looked through. I didn't see anything that really qualified for jazz. I said, oh, I collect 78s too. He goes, oh, just take all the 78s. The guy at the store doesn't want any of them, which is true for most selections of 78s. So anyway, the poor old guy opens up all of the packing taped boxes, and they're with this like World War II surplus packing tape that was so thick we could barely cut it. We open up all that stuff, and I go through the records and, Goodwill stuff. There's really nothing too valuable, except I'm going to show you a few of the things, okay? So, right off the bat, I found a couple of Doris Day. My wife loves Doris Day. Her birthday was coming up. She probably has most of these, but I grabbed a couple. Doris Day. I mean, these are fun records if you find them at the thrift store for $1. And they're slightly more fun if you find them for free. Love Me or Leave Me, music of Percy Faith, some kind of, yeah. She was the Kim Kardashian of her day, I guess. Some movie with James Cagney. All right, Doris. And then this other one, I don't know. Bunch of old tunes. So this gentleman, I'm talking to the gentleman, the guy who's giving away the records is his friend who's 91, still alive. Good for him. He doesn't need a few thousand old records and CDs. So his only foray into the rock and roll world, as far as I could tell, was this record, Buddy Holly. So most of his records are from the 40s and maybe 50s, but Buddy Holly, who was in the 50s, but this is a 70-something compilation. So that's a cool record for free. And then, the only classical record I saw on the whole thing, I grabbed, Love Bach. This turns out to be one of the worst Bach records I own or I've heard. Bach harpsichord concertos, Yehudi Menuhin conducting. Normally when you have a, Baroque music is supposed to be, when performed in the style of the period, light, agile, crisp, taut. But when you perform with a big orchestra from the 20th century, it tends to get muddy and plodding and trudgery. Is that a word? So it's that type of orchestra, too big and slow and plodding. But then there's a harpsichord. Like normally when you do, 20th century reinterpretations of Bach, you have a piano. So the harpsichord does not fit with the big orchestra. So what do I do with that? On Discogs, the highest sale price was $4.50. And I'll probably perform some kind of unholy experimental surgery on it because no one needs to hear it, okay? There's plenty of good records you should go listen to. Okay, this record, why? Well, like I say, my wife's birthday was this weekend. This is what she got from my son. This is the kid who is the son of Bono from U2. He goes by his last name, the hell is it? Hewson. Elia Hewson. That's the kid that's Bono's kid. Okay. My wife asked for this for Christmas. Birthday. It's her birthday. My son gave it to her. And I gave her some crappy Doris Day records, but I gave her some other better gifts too. Okay. Then, like I said, so I kept saying, let me help you carry these in. Let me help you carry these in. He said, no, no, no. So if we're close up, I take, 20 78s, 4 or 5 discs. He packs everything up on his hand cart, like, not a trolley, what do you call it? Daly. He's pushing that down the sidewalk. The whole thing falls over. And since the cases were open because of me, the records spill out all over the sidewalk. So it's like, oh God, I'm having guilt. So I helped the poor guy put all the records back in the boxes and sent him on his way. Okay, so in addition, I got some 78s. 2/3 of them I think are junky. Harry James, Glenn Miller. Yes, those guys were great in their day, but those guys were so popular that most 78 collections have a lot of that type of stuff, and they're worth virtually nothing because they just are. So I'm going to leave that stack of Harry James, Glenn Miller stuff on the ground, I think. Hopefully I divided these two stacks right. Let me go through some of this other stuff. A lot of these 78s were in these ridiculous plastic baggies, which I don't get. So it's hard to read them. The blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm going to try to go through these quick, so bear with me. This is Rosemary Clooney, the singer, George's aunt. I Wish I Was, I don't know that tune, but it has some of the musicians on here. Mundell Lowe on guitar, that's kind of cool. Mixed Emotions, so this is a Columbia. And this is probably a re-release because it has 2 catalog numbers. The 78 period was like 50 years, 50 plus years. So stuff that was re-released, maybe it was popular in the 30s, it came out again in the 50s or 40s. You might see re-release numbers, so it might not be valuable or rare at all. Okay, Bluebird is an imprint of RCA. You see the little doggy guy there? What's his name? Nipper. This is, Erskine Hawkins. So, when you're collecting 78s or looking through the stores, the black artists are almost always more desirable and rare and collectible than the white artists, because the white artists sold billions of copies and the black artists usually didn't. So, this is Erskine Hawkins, who was a band leader, but he also played, I think, I want to say saxophone. These are tunes of his that I don't know. Country Boy and Cherry. Now, Erskine Hawkins composed one really famous song, Tuxedo Junction, which I used to play in the big band when I was doing that deal in high school. So, Erskine Hawkins. Okay, a lot of these records have the crappy old destroyed paper sleeves. Back in the olden days, they didn't have outer sleeves. The only thing you could see on the record was the label. I think that's why we call the record companies labels today, because each company had its own label. Oh, guess what this one? Godzilla took a bite out of this one, so. Oh, shit. This is the best record of the whole thing, and it's broken. This is the freaking best record of the whole thing because it's Fats Waller. Oh, Jesus. Fats Waller, Honeysuckle Rose, and Your Feet's Too Big. I think I already have copies of this. Damn. So this is also, I believe, a re-release. I have a collection of like 10 or 12 Fats Waller discs, but Fats Waller, it says piano solo, which implies that he's not singing. Here's a vocal refrain. Your feet's too big, can't stand you because your feet's too big. That is a wonderful and funny novelty song from the 30s. Okay, 78s are very brittle. They're not made of vinyl. They're made of shellac. They're literally made of shellac plus some other goodies. Shellac is an organic, natural occurring material that is squeezed out of the butt of the lac bug. And people in Indonesia and India climb up trees and they scrape this butt ooze off the tree trunks and they mix it up and they sell it to America. That's how records used to be made. Now we just drill into the the bottom of the Earth's crust and pull out the petroleum and get final chloride. They're both disgusting processes. But that's disappointing. Okay, Buddy Cole on Capitol. I forgot who Buddy Cole is. Oh, I think he's an organ player. Yeah, pipe organ solo. Stairway to the Stars. So very corny pipe organ music. Buddy Cole. Oh, but this one has a cool label. Can. Most of the labels, most of the outer sleeves on 78s are very generic. But in this case, they were advertising the Can musical, which included Nat King Cole. K-Star. Blah, 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 blah. Damn, the best record is broken. I'm going to rip off. Okay, can't even see what this is. RCA Victor. Blah, 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 blah. Freddy Martin. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Oh, yeah. So Freddy Martin was the band leader. Cornball, old-fashioned, old-timey band. But the vocal refrain is by Merv Griffin. You can't really see that, but Merv Griffin, okay? We still enjoy Merv Griffin today, don't we? Because we watch Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune. I didn't know Merv Griffin was a vocalist who went all the way back to the big band era. Now you know. Okay, this is one of the prizes. First of all, the great label, the National label, which I don't know what they are, National. But the artist, if you can see that, ooh, Raymond Scott and his orchestra. I'll Be Singing You, and I learned a little lesson I'll never forget by Raymond Scott and his orchestra. Raymond Scott, you should know if you don't, one of the most interesting composers and inventors of the early 20th century. He wrote that song that is a popular song in all the old geek cartoons called Powerhouse. Anytime you saw an assembly line in those old cartoons of them like building a car or chopping up a turkey or something, they would play his song Powerhouse, which was, I'm going to sing it, on the piano, and then the trumpets would come in. That's Raymond Scott's Powerhouse. He also invented a really cool synthesizer, early synthesizer. What's it called? Electromium or something like that. And Mark Mothersbaugh has the original one in his lab. I don't even think it works, but Raymond Scott. We should do more videos on Raymond Scott. Very interesting old dude. Happy to have that record in this pile of freebies. What else we got, Greg? What else we got? Keep it moving. This is what I need, okay? I don't have one of these, but I need one. A magic brain. That's right. This RCA invented the magic brain. Do you know about the magic brain? I didn't know there was such a thing as a magic brain. Play records on both sides without even having to turn them over using the RCA Victrola magic brain. Push a button, and there's your record program. 2 hours of continuous undisturbed enjoyment. Maybe like a jukebox? I don't know. Magic tone cell, no needles to change. Records last indefinitely. Tandem tone arm, automatic, flexible tone bridge. We gotta learn about this magic brain, guys. What the hell is it? Okay, many of this guy's records, RCA Victor Victrola, but there's a Columbia record inside it. So what record's inside it? Stardust, Frankie Carl, I don't know what this is. Canadian Capers. Maybe the best thing about this record was the magic brain, guys. Tell me if you have a magic brain. I need to know. Okay, Capitol Records. This looks like a reissue series. Capitol 1600 series listing all the records. What's on there? And again, it's an RCA Victor Victrola record on the inside. T in Chicago. Oh, Eartha Kitt. See, that's why I put this one aside. Eartha Kitt, the great singer. T in Chicago. And If I Was a Boy. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? All right. Okay. Here comes a great label on the sleeve. OK. The OK record label has been rebooted the last few years. I think it's going to be part of Columbia now, but known for folk and maybe jazz music. And of course, this is a Decca record. inside an OK label. Packaging, 35 cents. The good old days. Go down your record shopping for 35 cents. So, OK artists include Gene Krupa, people I'd never heard of, Cab Calloway, Count Basie, Gene Autry, Billie Holiday, and many others. Okay, the record itself is Dick Hames, Till We Meet Again. Not too important. The Outer Sleeve. Okay. I do have some original OK records somewhere. This is interesting. Okay. Here's a label. Cool old labels. Deluxe. What is Deluxe? And the lady singing is Ruth Wallace. She does Your Daddy Was a Soldier. And Johnny Had a Yo-Yo. Johnny Had a Yo-Yo. I had to look up Ruth Wallace. Never heard of her. She was a very sort of raunchy, burlesque, Mae Westy sort of tunes. Maybe the Lizzo or the Cardi B of her day. I looked her up on YouTube, and the first song that comes up is a song called Boobs. You gotta have them. Go look up that song if you want to know how raunchy and corny our grandparents were back in the 40s. Okay, how about Pete Daly's Chicagoans? Why did I put this one aside? Because a lot of the musicians are named on here. Can you see that? I'm looking through at you guys. I can barely see with the lighting in here. I thought there were some important musicians on here. Let me get in the light. Don't move. Because it lists all the musicians, which it usually only does for jazz records. Oh, this is like a Dixieland style jazz, so not super exciting. Have I heard of any of these musicians? No. Okay, move on. Can you believe these are the most exciting records of the pile I've got? There's another 20 that are less exciting than this. Checker Records, another cool old label. Okay. Back in the day, there were so many independent record companies and labels that had their own labels that got, became obsolete, went away. Checker Record Company, Chicago, Illinois, black artist, Little Walter. Little Walter doing It Ain't Right, and Who? So Little Walter, I think he was kind of a boogie-woogie, bluesy sort of early dude. But we're going to do some needle drops on these guys. I will try to, I'll do that. We may be down to the bitterest of the bitter end here, guys. Another really cool record label. I had never heard of this label. Excello. Oh, hope you can't see a reflection of how messy this room is. Excello with Jerry McCain and his upstarts. Don't Love Me No More, and If It Wasn't For My Baby. And I think I put that aside again because it is a black artist, but we'll have to listen to that. We'll do some needle drops. I have 2 or 3 machines that play 78s. We'll get that together, and you guys will be even more bored. Oh. Here's the ones I didn't show you. Why are you showing to us now, Greg? Why are you showing them to us now, Greg? Well, I just want to make one little point here. Not all 10 inches from the era are 78s. This is an LP, even though it's a short P, it's an LP. It's a long, short Waldorf Music Hall. You can tell by the fact that there's 3 different songs on there. That's a micro groove 33 RPM, not a 78 RPM. The Roaring 20s with the Charleston City All-Stars, 23 Skidoo. Okay. In the 1940s, nostalgia meant you were remembering the 1920s, right? And let's see. Giselle McKenzie, I forgot who that is. Beethoven on a 10-inch LP, not 78. Okay, guys, I've kept you for 20 minutes. 20 minutes of some of the world's worst records, so I appreciate you hanging out with me for that. Let me know if you have any comments. What do you think of 78s? Should we be doing more with 78s? I think we should be talking about 78s more. Here's my theory. 300, 400, 500 years from now, music critics, musicologists, professors will realize that the 78 RPM era was of greater significance culturally than the LP era. That's right. I'm out.